Well, Pseg recently disclosed plans to replace a damaged transmission cable that is buried underground behind us on Commercial Ave. The utility plans to replace the cable with an above-ground, high-power line that'll include 19 new monster utility poles that'll be 80 feet in height. We're in a field right here that backs up to Commercial Avenue. Our kids play here, our families walk their dogs here, and we don't need any more visual pollution. Nobody wants 80-foot poles casting shadows on homes and on the fields where our kids play. Now, when we found out about PSEG's plan, we wrote their utility made two things clear. One, we wanted the replacement cables to be buried just as they are now. And two, they needed to let the residents in Eastern Garden City, and quite frankly throughout all of Garden City, to know about their plan. They weren't even going to tell neighbors until we forced their hand. Pseg has cited cost as a reason for replacing the underground cables with an above-ground power line. Meanwhile, as you might remember from last week, we did a press event on the fact that Pseg executives have refused to answer our call for them to disclose their top 18 executive salaries. Also, by the way, Pseg is also looking for a 4% rate increase. So recently, and to add insult to injury, a recent news account mentioned that Long Island Pseg customers may have to foot a bill through their rates for $103 million in upgrades to upstate utilities that'll provide absolutely no benefit to Long Islanders.
Ripping up a buried cable and replacing it 70 feet above ground is going backwards instead of forwards. That won't make this cable more resilient, it'll make it more vulnerable. As far as I can see, the only reason for doing it is because it's cheaper, and Long Island's communities deserve better than that. This is a troubling trend, deciding to go for the cheaper fix instead of the long-term solution, and I worry that we will see more of this in other communities.
When you go to the east end of this project, you're right in neighborhoods, a Salisbury neighborhood. So how they're going to ever argue that that is acceptable is not. So I think that the unfortunate hearing that they're having on April Fool's Day ought to be well attended, and frankly, people ought to protest that this is just not acceptable.
Bottom line is, we don't want poles. We don't want the poles here. We don't want them anywhere. Bury the cables, Pseg. Do the right thing for your neighbors and your ratepayers. Thank you.